Alright guys, sorry about that. So I got the video going here. I'm going to play it. You can just sit back and watch it. It's about 2 minutes long, but you're going to kind of see what it was like for these African Americans who became, unfortunately, slaves in the New World.
I am Angela. I live in this place called Virginia, but I was not born here. I am from Mundongo, where I live with my mother and father. My father, like most of the men, hunted. I was the oldest and helped my mother care for the little ones. We worked in the garden, growing yams and millet. We traded with other villages and the Portuguese until the black men came. They looked like us, but they were not like us. They were not from our village. They were cruel warriors. I can still hear the cries of my brothers and sisters. The men took all of us they could find alive, pushed us farther than I'd ever walked in my life to the great walls of the Portuguese.
Are doing this.
Wall of heat, hunger, and thirst. There were so many of us, men, women, and even small children, others from my village, all afraid. A woman killed her own baby and herself rather than being taken away. We were gathered on the sand, penned as if animals. A priest came and made us take christenings. We were put on a big ship down a dark place. So many of us together we could not move. Filth and sickness. The voyage was long. Then came the sound of the white men's guns, and we were taken away again and put within another ship, and so came to this land. Here it's not like Ndongo. Here the men work beside us. We all labor for Master Pierce, growing tobacco to send back across sea on the great ships, maize, beans, and other plants I never knew. I have lived here for many seasons, and no longer fear so much the English and the Indians. They do not call me slave, but I am not free. We who came here together speak our own words and stories so that we will not forget.
So that was the beginning of slavery in America. Way in the beginning of just 1619. It's only been almost 10, not even 10 years. A little bit more than the 10 years since they first came. Okay, so yeah, the Portuguese came and took them. They brought them over. Just to remind you, okay, slaves, they're forced to work. Their property. Indentured slavers are basically slaves, except after that 5 to 7 year time, they will be free. Okay, they're being paid by their freedom. Okay, there were indentured servants that are African American. There were slaves that are African American, but indentured servants were not slaves. Okay, they're a little bit different. Okay, all right. So let's talk a little bit more about the women that arrived. Where is it? Women? No. Here we go. So, in addition to the African Americans coming, the women came as well, which is also important. Now, their role was a little bit different than the role of the African Americans as being slaves. Is that they were going to have families and have children and allow the colony to be self-sustainable. Now, the first 2 women did arrive in 1608, and wouldn't you know, that was definitely in Blood on the River. Okay, Anne Burris, and I don't remember the person that she came with, but those 2 came in 1608. Okay, but not until 1620, 12 years later, the first large group of women came. It was called a brideship, bride being to be married. So they were brought over because they wanted to marry these men. So at about 90, it's 90, women landed in Jamestown on the brideship. Okay, it was sent by the Virginia Company. Okay, most of the women worked in the kitchen, vegetable garden, smokehouse. So they still worked the tobacco fields in the main houses. If a man married one of the women from the brideship, then they had to pay the Virginia Company for her trip with his tobacco crop. So that's kind of weird, right? So the Virginia Company sends over these women and say, okay, brideship, get married, have children, have families. So let's say that I fall in love with somebody and say, okay, let's get married. I have to pay back the Virginia Company the travel of my wife to come over with tobacco. So it's kind of really kind of an odd situation there. Another video here talking a little bit about the women. Hopefully. Now this one's not about the women here. Let me go back. Actually,